Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be. To anyone who, you know, joined my channel or, cares to look at this, it's appreciated always. So, as if you're on my YouTube channel or my Facebook or Instagram, you see I already posted things. Saw Spider-Man No Way Home earlier today. Hints, the pictures there. um, and it was a really really good movie. I mean, was it perfect? No, like I said, very few things in this world are perfect, but it was pretty close. Um, I mean, just so enjoyable in so many ways. Um, and as I will have put in the title of this, there will be spoilers in this. Like I said, I'll try to give just a kind of general um, th- thoughts as I did in my uh, reaction after getting out of the theater, and we're gonna go pretty much through the a lot of the movie points. So, um, first of all, I have to say, as a I guess close to the home MCU home trilogy, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. It's really, really, really well done, and kind of bittersweet, which we'll get into. But many ha- elements of humor, obviously, as is known in many MCU films, but also a lot of drama and heartfelt moments. Um, and again, like, it's so hard to even talk about without getting into spoilers. So, like, we're just gonna jump into them in a second. But like I said, this was, excuse the language expression for any of you who don't cuss. It's a damn good movie. Um, Again, a lot of things there in this movie. There are speculation that fans have had for a long time, and to all those people out there that leak stuff, you're terrible. I just hate to put it that way. You're terrible. You ruin things. I mean, some enjoyment. Again, the thing, as I've heard it said by many people, and it's true, if it's a good movie, sometimes spoilers won't ruin the overall experience. And I mean, um, I haven't like seen any like big spoilers because I've kind of uh, kept my tried to keep away from them. But I knew most of the beats that were going to happen in this movie because again we've been kind of speculating and talk about them. So in that case, I wasn't spoiled per se on anything. But for some who I know don't like to know anything, it's one thing. Of course, we got was the trailer, and there's conjecture is always fun amongst fans. You know, but for those who outrightly put stuff out there like from the film, be it more than a synopsis, be it a beat by beat, be it and to those idiots who have it in the theater, have their cameras in, again, shame on you. That's just really terrible. Um, but anyways, sorry, not to go on that rant. Um, you know, Tom Holland gives an amazing performance in this, as does Zendaya and Jacob Batalon. I mean, everyone in this cast does for what they do, and they fit in this well. And I know a lot of people were saying, the worry of would it be too much as far as all the villains and this and that. But I don't think so in any way. I mean, because they worked out really well what was done with each of them. So that being said, if anyone has not seen the movie yet, and you don't want to know any spoilers, leave for now and come back because we're gonna get into it. And of course, I mean, I just saw it a little while ago. There's so much in it, so I'm not gonna remember every single thing, but try to give the main beats and everything. So, starting off, we start off right where we left off in Far From Home with his identity revealed, and I mean, it's in in the TV spots for anyone who's seen the TV spots. There's, the scene as soon as he, gets him and MJ are on a bridge, and you know, Ned calls, it's like, dude, 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 and then MJ's like, dude, to bring him back to reality. So, which was a fun little bit. So, but that's where we start, and as far as how this was gonna handle the world knowing who he is, again, I thought it's done in a kind of interesting way you would expect. Of course, there are over the ones that are like buy into the Mysterio, uh, the interdimensional hero that um, that said that framed him and outed him, you know. But for the most part, most people are just like, oh my god, again, like it's a celebrity. I know a celebrity. I know an Avenger. Um, okay, you had your Menace ones who listen to the the Daily Bugle and stuff like that, and then but the it seemed like the majority of them were like really, really like, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, okay, and I mean first, you know, uh, Peter and MJ they swing home, which she hates doing, and it's just so funny through all of that. You know, they get home and Happy and Aunt May are breaking up again, continuing kind of like right from the end where she was like, "Oh, it's just a fling and this and that," but Happy wanted more, and it's just you know. It's kind of it touches your heart, but it's funny at the same time. Then they all see what's going on, copters all around. It's just total chaos, and he gets arrested by the Department of Damage Control, which I find interesting. That's the angle they went. But I guess Department of Damage Control is kind of like, I guess kind of maybe kind of like the feds combine with, I mean, I guess just taking any superhero stuff rather than just cleaning up their messes and stuff. So that was interesting. um Again, I'd be interesting in kind of knowing exactly what their mandate is, but that's a whole other thing. um and then so there's that. They're all talking, I want my lawyer, don't talk. Ned gets tricked, starts spilling the beans on stuff, and realize they need her lawyer. We cut to the apartment, and it's freaking Charlie Cox. Which again, there was rumors or people that had leaked stuff a while back that Charlie Cox was going to be in this, and so we get to see him for a few minutes, and I kind of, well, when Kevin Feige confirmed that he was going to be our Daredevil whenever we saw him. I mean, he's just Matt Murdock in the, in this, in his brief little appearance. Which the way the dialogue went, I thought it was a little odd. He was like, "You're gonna need a good lawyer. You're gonna need a good lawyer," but not saying like, I'm gonna do my best for you. Everything's like, you're gonna need a good lawyer. And someone throws a brick through the window, and Peter's about goes to catch it, but so does Matt. Because of course his heightened senses, of course alluding to us again, we know he's Daredevil, but that was it. And I mean, I was happy to see Charlie Cox in there, happy to see Matt Murdock, but I mean, I would have liked to see even just another scene or something, him, doing his thing or eluding some other illusion. But what it is what it is. It was just it was fun. Um, and you know, my mind's going blank for a second because just thinking about it again, I saw it. And I was saying, along with that, Kevin Feige confirmed that Charlie Cox was going to be Daredevil whenever we would see him. But when we heard that, we knew that he was going to be in this more than likely. Um, and anyone who's also watched Hawkeye up to current, which I'm guessing the majority of you know Spider-Man fans, MCU fans, have been watching, Hawkeye as with the other Disney Plus. I know there are some who haven't, but I'm guessing the majority have. So again, spoiler. for in Hawkeye at the end of the last episode. Again, spoiler: if you haven't seen the last episode yet or haven't seen any of it, you might want to like just mute it for like I don't know 60 seconds. Um, we are reintroduced to Wilson Fisk, to Kingpin. They had hinted to him from the very first episode. So those of us who know the character of Kingpin, okay, we know Kingpin is in this world, in this story. But the question was it Vincent D'Onofrio from Daredevil with Charlie Cox? And yes, we got our confirmation at the end of the last episode of Hawkeye that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is in here, and we have Charlie Cox's Daredevil. So of course that opens up, the whole other can of worms. Is are the Netflix shows canon, or are they variants, if you will, another universe? And then we just get MCU versions of these characters, which is what it's probably going to be. But anyway, so then you know we again, Peter's just trying to live his life the best he can. Basically, he goes back to school. And they're sitting here. He goes back to school, and there's like a shrine to him, basically, that one of the teachers made. And it's just funny, kind of sad but funny. Flash, of course, trying to be like, yeah, I'm one of Spider-Man's best friends, and nobody cares about him. All these things. Peter, MJ, and Ned, um, apply to. Oh, okay. Sorry for that little jump there. I had a phone call. Um, not even sure what I was saying exactly, but yeah. Like I said, Peter, MJ, and Ned, they're applying to go to MIT. And again, the school they're supposed to be in is, of course, supposed to be for smart people. So, but I find it interesting, of course, is MIT of all places, which is, where Tony went. And for those who are, Marvel fans of, of course, the comic or whatever, a character coming out later named Ironheart, also went to MIT. Um, so as they're struggling, getting through that, struggling with the limelight and everything, they don't get accepted. And a large part is apparently because of all the hullabaloo, all the ongoings, and basically knowing Peter. And because of that, he, where MJ, who during the interrogation, we learn her name is Michelle Jones, which we knew, MJ, not Mary Jane, but Jones Watson. So I found it a little weird that they threw that in, but hey, whatever. So I guess her family, is like a mixed family, and it's Jones Watson, or I guess it's Watson, but she goes by Jones because the relationship with her dad or something like that. Who knows? But anyways, so that being said, or maybe it's again because people just kept getting confused and assuming she was Mary Jane because they didn't catch Michelle Jones as her name was explicitly said before. I don't know. Who knows? But you know, she's working in a diner and they have Halloween decorations still up. And of course they look like little witches, warlocks, sorcerers or whatever. So he looks at that, gets the idea, well maybe my life is sucking. I'm causing other people's lives to suck. Let me go talk to Doctor Strange, which he does. And we see, a lot of people were wondering, of course, like you see there's snow in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And why is that? Apparently, one of the doorways, to other places, was to like an Arctic type region, and a blizzard rolled in. I was like, that's a funny explanation for it. And we learn, because of whose fault it was and everything, that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme. Because as Peter even says to Doctor Strange, I thought you were Sorcerer Supreme. He was like, yeah, well, he got it on a technicality because he was gone for 5 years during the blip. So apparently Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme during that time. So even when we see him in Shang-Chi and stuff, he's the Sorcerer Supreme. And that would explain also, I mean, why not only because he was in the fight with the Abomination at Xialing, if I remember how to say Shang-Chi's sister's names, Fight Club thing with Abomination. Not only is it because he was there with him, because he is the actual Sorcerer Supreme, so that kind of explains why we didn't see Doctor Strange also. But anyways, um, so Peter asks him about the spell. Wong is like, I wouldn't do it, but he's like, come on, we've done it for this and that, and he's just like, okay, just leave me out of it. Whereas in the trailers, we were led to believe he was like, don't cast that spell, and Strange was just being mischievous, but he was just like, look, leave me out of it, whatever, because you're gonna do it anyways. Um, you know, as we see in the trailer, Strange and Peter go into the underground chambers below the sanctum. Strange starts doing the spell. Peter messes it up, as we see in the trailer, um, and Doctor Strange collapses it back, so it doesn't go all awry and everything. And as we soon find out that Strange contained the spell, but during those brief moments, obviously there was some leakage where yeah, what we see shortly after that, as Strange even asked him, is like, it's all because he, wanted to try to get back into school. He's like, I mean, I understand after you, if you made your plea and it didn't work and all that, and which Peter didn't do. He's like, I just got the letter saying no, I didn't know you could do that. He's like, oh my God. So you know, Peter goes back, makes a deal with Flash, who's at a MIT party, goes to talk to go to talk to the person, like, I can't remember if that mission's on a board or something like that, on her way to the airport. And then that's the scene we get with Doc Ock first comes back, realizes it's not his Peter, something's going on, and we have the Green Goblin come about to blow more stuff up, and Strange brings them to the Sanctum Sanctorum along with um, Doctor Octopus, and we see the Lizard is there, um, and it's just we get all this whole thing. Well, and Peter's like, well, if I'm gonna get these guys, I'm gonna need help. We bring Ned and MJ into the Sanctum Sanctorum as well as for his help, and after that they're talking about everything. Of course, Doc Ock's not understanding what's going on. Lizard's like, okay, he's not really saying anything at that point. We go to a report of where they're looking for the Green Goblin, and then we find where Electro is. The scene from the trailer, the black suit, which is just his suit turned inside out because it got gunk all over it. It's really weird and ridiculous, but it's funny. And we see our Electro, who is, as we were wondering, okay, it is the blue Jamie Foxx Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but after he was pulled back, and Peter, you know, pulls his energy, he gets his body back into the form we see in the trailer, and you know, at the same time we have Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church, which he's in the sand form, pretty much through most of the movie. Um, and yeah, there's of course a dispute. Sandman thinks, of course, it's the other Peter or another Spider-Man, so he wants to help him because, as we saw in, Spider-Man 3, he's he's done bad. He's a bad guy. I mean, he's a bad guy, but not a like villain. He's a guy that's just done some really bad things, and when all said and done, he just wanted to make to help his daughter and to make things better for her, and he went the wrong way, just like Octavius, as a matter of, the arms kind of took over, which in Spider-Man 2, at the end, he redeemed himself, but of course, he was pulled before that into this world. So, at the core, he's still a good guy. Um, Electro, I would say, as we'll go into that, more debatable on how good. I mean, Max was misguided and this and that, but ultimately, I mean, he's selfish and everything. But as far as like villain twirling mustache, it was never quite that. I think as well. He was just really his power ate at him basically. Power trip for lack of a better word. But anyways, that all being said, so they're all captured again, Sanctum Sanctorum, and they're speaking to each other again because Doc Ock is like. As they're speaking about everything, they're Norman Osborn. Doc Ock is like, no, it can't be Osborn. He died, and then uh, uh, again, I might mix up the order here, but basically, like I said, they're all talking and everything, and then Sandman says to Doc Ock, "You both died. He died. You died with your machine." Electro trying to be the big man, it's just like I whoop Spider-Man's ass and everything, and but then he realizes it's like, oh crap, no, I died too. And again, Connor's the lizard, which since he was at Oscorp, he knew Max and everything. They have their back and forth and everything. So it's just a really cool scene to see all these villains interacting, trying to figure out what's what. And then of all places, Aunt May calls Peter because Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe. He's struggling, of course, with the Goblin. It seems like, and then he goes to get help from May, and so May brings him in, um, and he tries to convince Strange that, and there's the whole thing. They all talk. They all realizing they all died fighting Spider-Man. Strange is like they have to go back because they're tearing this world apart. They have to go back, and if they die, they die. It's their fate. Of course, and this of course doesn't set well with Peter, which a lot of them are even like, wait, what? Why are you wanting to help us? And then MJ, is like, because that's not who he. I mean, why aren't you going to just let us die? He's like, because that's not who he is. Who this Peter is? Who Peter in general is? You know, through the different versions of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, when all said and done, yes, the villains died, but again, Osborn was by his own hands. Ock was by his own machinations, and it was he sacrificed himself to stop what he did. Excuse me. As I said, I mean, being a good guy overall. Like I said, Lizard just again as a product of his own hubris, experimenting on himself, thinking he was better and he was trying to make people better and stuff. But when all said and done, then like I said, I mean, after that part was removed from him, even though he was in jail, I think he realized, the error of his ways. And, of course, again, like I said, Max, again, just his power. As they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And he was just a victim of that. So, again, most of them, of course, Osborn, he was just deranged and crazy from the Goblin, and his own hubris in a way too. And that's ultimately, I think, the tragic thing of most of the villains, Spidey's villains and villains in general. A lot of some are, I just want to destroy everything as, or to switch universes for a minute as, in the Dark Knight trilogy, as Alfred Michael Caine says, with for about the Joker, some men just want to see the world burn. But like I said, the best villains and a lot of especially in Marvel, the motivations for so many of them are just really they are misguided or they're a product of what has happened to them and they just choose a certain way. Again, there are some that are just evil to be evil, but I would say most of them that's not the case. Anyways, So that being said, and then we have a fight between Peter and Strange because again, he's like, no, they got to go back. This is how it has to happen. He's like, we can save them. We can try. And so, again, you see the scenes in the trailer of them on the train multiplying and all that, and it's just a really fun, beautiful scene. And go into the mirror dimension, obviously, and it's again just so well done for as they're using him and Strange in this conflict. So he triumphs over Strange using math, and so MJ, Peter, and Ned, they they again, excuse the phrase, as Strange had put it at first to them, they Scooby Doo this shit, and try to figure it out, try to work the case out, working with Norman. First they cure Doc Ock, even though they all say they don't need to be cured or whatever. Um, and then of course Max wants that power again. Okay, so they go back to Happy's place where they had been staying after he was revealed, and they've got that thing from in Far From Home, how Peter recreated his new suit, basically like think like a replicator in Star Trek, but not as easy. But yeah, something that can create things, and they use that to create the cures for Doc Ock and one for Electro. And then, like I said, things don't go quite as they're supposed to because, of course, Osborn being Osborn, it's just like f all this. Osborn is weak. I'm not going to just go easy into the night. He of course convinces Electro to don't let him take this away from you. Lizard, of course, is just Lizard. Yeah, he's like, I told you, this is how I was gonna go. Um, so and then of course, like I said, Sandman is, Flint Marco. He's just conflicted. He just wants to get home to his daughter, but he knows, everybody else has got to be cured and everything, So he's just kind of like, he's there, but he doesn't want to be there. He just wants to go home, and it's really sympathetic. I mean, again, you look at these villains, and you just really that you see the humanity in a lot of them, and the struggle some of them have, but anyways, so after that, uh, we have a great fight with Goblin, with Willem Dafoe and Tom Holland, in the building, and it leads down. May steals away what's left of the cures, the tech that they have. It goes, falls all the way into the bottom of the building, and we get Goblin being Goblin, like Joker, just wants to see the world burn, just wants to destroy things. As he even said to Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 1, think of what we could create or destroy together, and we get the death of Aunt May, which I was like, I know I'd heard, some people speculated maybe we might get that, or that there was going to be a death. I had heard that by people confirmed there was going to be a death, and I didn't think it was going to be, MJ, as of course the trailer kind of hint said, and we'll get to that later. But we get the death of Aunt May, which I was like really surprised at, because of course we don't have Uncle Ben, which we in this world we never really quite found out what happened to Uncle Ben. But yeah, we lose Aunt May, and of course he's Peter's despondent. Of course he's being blamed for everything, and as oh, and yeah, I forgot, during this thing, MJ played by Zendaya. And Ned have the cube, the device that Strange had to fix everything that Peter stole. Hence the fight they had. Um, and she's about to even just trigger it to just say "F all this." We're sending them back, even though she wanted to try to save them as well. And you know, Ned mentions that, or no, he's got the Doctor Strange's sling ring, and he had made a comment about how his, I think, I believe he said his grandmother had, said that there's magic in their family or whatever, and we see him, accidentally make a portal, like with the sling ring. So of course that leads to the question: does Ned actually have magic potential? Or was it just the sling ring in itself? I mean, I don't know if anybody can use the sling rings or if they have to have, you know, knowledge of magic for it. So that's an interesting question. I mean, will we ever get an answer to it, or do they even, care to address it? I don't know. I mean, it plays a part throughout the movie going forward, but that would be interesting. So, anyways, um, you know, he, opens a portal. They're looking to try to find Peter, and we get Peter step through. But no, is it Tom Holland? Nope. It's the Amazing Spider-Man costume. Is Andrew Garfield. It's Peter, which they're like, wait, what? So of course, like I said, when the villains got pulled through, so did Spider-Man. So we get Andrew Garfield, and um, of course, MJ and Ned are skeptical of him. I mean, he even, he's like hanging from the ceiling by his fingers, and MJ's like throwing bread at him, just like crawl on the wall. He's like, I'm not gonna do that. Ned's grandmother's like, well, since you're up there, could you get the cobwebs in the corner? And he goes and does it. It's just a funny little bit. Again, kind of corny, awkward, but it's funny in itself. It's nice. Again, and we have Andrew Garfield, which we knew we would get. And then, they do it again to try to get it, and we get Tobey Maguire. And as opposed to, like Alfred Molina was CG'd, and I couldn't really tell if they did much with Willem Dafoe, because, I mean, Willem Dafoe's pretty much look the same. I mean, yes, he looks a little older, but he's still pretty much looks the same as he did back then. Just a few more wrinkles. So I'm not sure if they CG'd some of that out like they did for Molina, but since they were supposed to come directly from where they were, Jamie Foxx looks pretty much the same, and he has a new hairdo and stuff in it, anyways. And like I said, for Sandman, he's in his sand form. Lizard is in his lizard form. So there's that. But because I guess they were taken exactly from their battles and everything. But Andrew and Toby, you know, Peter, later known Peter 2 and 3, they're obviously older, and it's, and when we don't get a lot of explanation on it, but we do through dialogue get that they are from further down the line. So I guess more contemporary in their world to Peter in this world, where it's been a couple years. We get the kind of little explanation by, of course, questions are asked later in the movie about their MJ, or Toby's Mary Jane, um, as far as how their lives have been, and he's like, it was rough, but we made it work. And I was like, okay, so I guess Mary Jane and Toby and Peter from the Raimi are together. Um, Again, like, are they married? How far down the line? How many years have passed? Actually, I guess it's real time, give or take. Um, and of course, for Andrew, Gwen died, and they address it and everything, and you can see the pain when he's talking about it. Um, so they meet up with with MCU Peter, with Toby Tom Holland, and like I said, of course, it's all kind of like, wait, what? you know and we have the new science bros, which are all their brothers in a sense, all Peter science bros. And they're working on making the new cures for everybody, figuring out a plan on what to do. You know, Holland calls into the Daily Bugle, which apparently after the expose, which at first when we see, Jay Jonah, like from the beginning of it, he's just in, got a green screen behind him, in a cluttered apartment and everything. And I guess after that, somebody threw some money at him because we see he gets like a little studio and everything. When Peter calls him, to tell him this is where I am. These new villains, they're my fault. Wish me luck, everybody. And we go to the Statue of Liberty, which is referenced in the last episode of Hawkeye. Yelena was just like, see the new Statue of Liberty, because from what I've heard, Hawkeye takes place after Spider-Man. Now I've heard like a year after, but I'm not sure if it's that much or if it's not too long after it. But anyways, um, and one of the things I'll say again, you gotta love now how with the shows there's complete crossovers thing. So in Hawkeye, from the very beginning we see Rogers the musical, and we see Peter swing by, billboards for Rogers the musical during the movie. But yeah, so we get our grand fight. Again, as you saw clips of during the trailer. Um, of course, that, like I said, that scene, which many people could tell when it looks like he's rushing out against Sandman, Lizard, and Electro. Of course, Andrew and Toby are also in that shot. They were digitally removed, which there was that Brazil trailer, which people could tell something hit the Lizard. But yeah, we just get a wonderful fight sequence between them. It's really really cool. And I have to mention as a little joke before that, as all the Peters meet, Holland and Garfield, of course, make comments as far as their web fluid having to make it and stuff. And McGuire's like, wait, what? You have to make it, and shows, of course, he has the organic ones, and they're just like, wait, how does that work? What? And Holland even asked at one point, it was like, is it just come out of your wrist, or can it come out other areas too? Just the awkwardness and everything, but it's just so funny. It's so great to see the interaction between Toby, Andrew, and Tom. Like I said, at times it did feel slightly weird, but overall it was just so much fun. And like I said, that's what a lot of this movie was. It was just so much fun. So, anyways, they have their battles. During it, of course, Ned made a portal to get the box back, but he can't close it. So Lizard comes after them. They go back through the portal to the Statue of Liberty. With again, where they're trying to build the shield for the new Statue of Liberty to honor Steve Rogers. And again, things are being destroyed one by one. They take down each of the villains. Doc Ock shows up at one point when Electro looks like he's about to take some people out, and of course he's still good because he was cured, and helps turn the tide, if you will. And then Ned trying to make another portal releases Doctor Strange. He's like, "What's going on?" They explain his plan is working, and he's like, "Well, I'll be darned," And yeah, again, fight continues. They've gotten pretty much everyone, and of course, it. Freaking Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, has to mess everything up. Again, he tries to after taking out Aunt May, he tries to just do it again, because during again all the destruction going on, MJ is falling at one point, and Holland, Peter One goes to try to rescue her, and this is something that many people kind of speculated, because again, we all knew that, or heavily suspected, if not knew, that Andrew and Toby were going to be in this, kind of thought it might be interesting. Some thought good, some thought it would be bad, but to have Andrew Garfield save her because he couldn't save Gwen, and they did that, and it was well, kind of like how I thought it would play. It was, again, you see the emotion on his face. He was like, I was able to save her, even though I couldn't save Gwen, and it was a really nice moment. I really liked that, and yeah, but like I said, but the reason Garfield had to save her was because Goblin came and knocked Holland out of the way. Um, and they end up fighting. Again, where obviously Norman does not care if he dies at all. He just wants to cause Peter pain, even if it's not his Peter. He wants to still cause Peter Parker pain. And again, he killed Aunt May. And Peter's just like, I'm done with this. Holland is just like, I'm just done with this. They're duking it out. He's beating the living snot out of Osborn, and he grabs his glider. He's about to kill him, but again, Maguire steps in to stop him, and talk him down. I mean, he doesn't. They don't talk. He just looks at him like, "No, dude, you do not want to do this." And he's getting him down, and freaking Goblin stabs Maguire. Of course, he stabs freaking, and I was like, "Oh my, no, no, they are not gonna kill him. Don't tell me they're gonna kill him." And then Garfield comes down to join, and you know, uh, or throws the cure for Osborn to him. He cures him, and of course, Willem Dafoe again, such a great actor. You see that change again. He's just like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And you know oh because all that happened in the chaos, the box that Doctor Strange had, the magical box to contain them and ultimately fix things, is destroyed, and his spell goes all awry again. You see this in the trailer, the purple cracks all over the place, reality is beginning to fold in on itself. And yeah, it's just really, you know cool scene and all that. And you see, I think, I guess basically various other versions of the villains, because I mean, I didn't like ultra intensely try to look into all of it to see the different forms and everything. Um, but I thought it would have been. I mean, I didn't think they were going to do it, but I thought that would have been an opportunity when it would have been so cool, even if it's just for a moment. If we had seen other Spider-Man, just for like a moment, like you know, see images, if we had seen Spider Gwen again. Like I said, I know Emma Stone was, I think, pregnant during it, so I don't know if they even tried reaching out to her or whatever. So I mean, I know she couldn't have like done it and got in the suit and everything if they had made a Gwen suit. But I thought it would have been cool. We could have, to see Gwen, be it Noir 29. Just even if it's just a glimpse, looking into as we see the multiverse cracking, to see images of them, like, oh my God, that would have been amazing. But at the same time, I could see people saying that was kind of useless. So, anyways, Peter's like, "What's going on?" The line from the trailer, "They're coming through. I can't stop them." And Peter's like, "Okay, well, since this all started because I asked you to make people forget, if we did go back and do that, would that work?" And Strange's like, "Yeah." So that's what Peter does. He decides to sacrifice his life with everyone he loves who's remaining now that Aunt May's dead. Um, and tells Strange to do his original spell, and you see the villains fade off, you see the Spider-Man fade off. Thank God Toby's not dead. He's really hurt, and there are a lot of fun little jokes in between. Like I said, between the Spider-Man, um, he says goodbye to Michelle, to MJ, and to Ned. That they're gonna forget everything, but he'll come and find them. I will always, a trope in a lot of romantic movies. I will always find you. And they save the day. Everyone forgets. And then we just see little things. Going on. A little time passes. We see Peter at Aunt May's grave, and Happy comes, and he doesn't know who he is. He's like, "How do you know? How did you know May?" Through Spider-Man, I guess. So the whole thing through Feast, obviously everyone remembers, no Spider-Man. They just don't. It's not just they don't know that Peter is Spider-Man. They don't. The spell now is no one remembers Peter Parker. Period. Apparently, like at all. Like I said, so we see him with Happy, talking with Happy, who doesn't remember him, obviously. You know, we see him go by by the cafe, whatever coffee place that MJ's working at. Ned comes in. They're talking about they were accepted to MIT. You know, and Peter's ready. As he said, he would find her. He would make her remember him. And he's like, trying to getting up to do it, but he just sees that they have good lives. It seems, and he doesn't want to mess it up, so he leaves. I mean, he gets coffee and he leaves. Doesn't even say anything to Ned, which I understand. But then we see him in an apartment, um, which I'm not sure if that was supposed to be um, what used to be May's apartment repurposed, or I guess just completely different. But because I mean, there was nothing in it and it looked kind of dingy. So, so he's got an apartment. We see even a book, about the GED. So again, nobody remembers him. So I guess technically he didn't go to school anywhere. So, I mean, I was like, wow. So now we just have him as Spider-Man. No one knows his identity. No one knows Peter at all. So we kind of got a version of the One More Day storyline from the comics, which a majority of fans absolutely hated because I mean there were a lot of things in there, including years of in the comics of Mary Jane and Peter's marriage being gone. I mean, yes, we have MJ and his relationship in here, which was I love their relationship, and that was taken away. But again, it's not like the years and years and years that comic readers had had. So it was sad, but not as sad. But I'm sure there's still a lot of people that because I didn't see it, I didn't think they would do that. I didn't think they were gonna absolutely do that, and they did. So, you know, and going back for a minute, of course, during the talks with the Spider-Mans, he's like, y'all have never worked with a team. Well, I have. Part of the Avengers. To make basically, not to brag, but I'm part of the Avengers. And they're like, Toby's like, that's great. What are the Avengers? So, just mentioning the fact that again in their worlds they don't have all these other superheroes. It's just them. Which is interesting. But like I said, everybody's back to their respective universes, and that being said, the question is, I guess, do we have alternate timelines now where they of course Doc Ock, I guess they would have been sent back to where he was, but does he still? I guess is it to the point before he started the reaction with the machine and it went uncontrollable again, and then he gets to live his life out in a certain way, or does he still have to make that sacrifice? You know, Norman went back and he's cured now, supposedly cured. So does he not impale himself on the glider? I guess because does he stop that fight with Toby and with young Toby, and that never happens? Like I said, Max goes back. Again, I can't remember. Again, I haven't rewatched Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a while, so I can't remember exactly what happens to him. I mean, I guess like I said, he's defeated, dissipated, or whatever. So I guess does that not happen now? Because obviously he doesn't have his powers if he's sent right back to it. So it leaves a lot of questions. And I guess again, same. Even Lizard was, I guess, taken before he was put in jail. I guess. So that opens up the avenues for a lot of things. Should Sony want to make a live action Spider Verse? We know we have Across the Spider Verse, the animated movie coming out, but yeah, it's just there are a lot of possibilities, I guess you could say. And anyways, that all being said, again, now we still have Peter in the MCU, but no one remembers him as a person. We just have Spider-Man. So what is that going to mean as he? Because a lot of people were wondering if somehow this was Um, uh, for instance, like John Campea, who again love the John Campea show since his AMC days. And there are others too who have wondered this, that if it was going to be some type of and exiting, because you got to consider the real world business dealings with Sony and Marvel, um, of Tom Holland from the MCU into the Sonyverse, you know, but it seems like he's still in the MCU. So what does that mean going forward? I guess we're gonna get a Spider-Man where again no one knows, or will it be a Spider-Man? I mean, obviously no one knows, but I mean, will he reconnect with MJ and Ned when he thinks it's their time? Will we see? I don't know. It's so many questions now. So many freaking questions now on how they're going to handle this, what they're going to do. Um, so yeah, but the movie overall just so well done, so well done. And then of course we have end credits. um, so the mid credit scene, I the mid okay, so the mid credit scene we see Eddie Brock, Venom in Mexico still. Because at the end of, again, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Let There Be Carnage, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Um, at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, he gets brought to the MCU, which I assumed was because of Doctor Strange's spell. Um, which is again, it's all kind of odd because supposedly the way Strange explained it, it was like those who know his true identity, um, that's why they were pulled in, and of course the Spider-Mans themselves were just pulled in. Um, so I guess it was like just realities collapsing in themselves because there was the whole thing of, I guess, the symbiote, as he tried to explain, they're multiversal. So Venom, Eddie Brock's or Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock Venom knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker because of the symbiote that Topher Grace had in Spider-Man 3, which they mentioned, and they mentioned a lot of things from the Raimi and Webb movies, which they had a few little mentions of this and that, which I really liked. I thought they were fun, and I guess that's why he was pulled in. Uh, Whatever, and I was like, okay, so are we gonna have Venom just in the MCU now? But no, as he's trying to realize this whole thing, he's in a world with other superheroes and everything. He gets sent back. I'm like, so it's like almost like, what was the purpose? Well, okay, I know what the purpose is now. I'll say in a second. It seems almost like there's like no purpose of the end credit, the way it played out, and then here, other than to transport him there, because I guess as he's talking to this barkeep, trying to rationalize what's going on, there's a little drop of the symbiote that's left on the counter after he disappears. I mean, honestly, I think that was kind of sloppy, the way that scene was. But I mean, it's still kind of fun, but it's kind of sloppy. Um, and so I guess somehow that little bit of the symbiote, which by definition, I mean that can grow into a whole nother symbiote when it finds a host. Why we have Carnage in the comics, because a little bit of the symbiote got left behind and bonded with him, or the movie version, him biting Eddie's and drawing blood, whatever. Don't get me started on Let There Be Carnage. But so somehow, some way, we're going to get that symbiote, I guess, to Peter, or I guess we're going to find the Eddie Brock in the MCU, and that will become Venom. And then, or I mean, it will interact with Peter and then become Venom. And I don't know. Again, so many questions, so many questions. Um, and then for the final thing, we have It wasn't even as much. It wasn't an end credit. It was kind of scenes from slash a kind of trailer to Multiverse of Madness, which was really cool. And the other day, because after the critic screening, some idiot leaked it, which I didn't watch any because I was like, heck no. Even my brother sent me in, and I was like, nope, I am not watching this. Um, Sent it, leaked it online, so I hadn't watched it or anything. But we see, kind of voiceovers that he's messed with, time and space, the multiverse, whatever. Then we see the cabin from WandaVision, and I was like, oh, okay. So we see her. He goes to talk to her, where she thinks she's like, I know why you're here. And he's like, no, it's not because of Westview. I need your help, or we need your help. He said, and I think that's because America Chavez is already there. So, anyways, so we see just a collection of scenes and stuff from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So it just adds the excitement for that. So, but yeah. Anyways, that is my review reaction. I know, kind of disjointed thoughts to Spider-Man: No Way Home. I enjoyed it very much. I may actually go see it again. I don't know, especially if one of my friends want to go see it or something. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, if you're watching this, I'm guessing you've already seen the film. So feel free to leave comments on your thoughts of everything. And I will say this one other thing, because I can go on a whole nother tangent, but I'm trying not to. Of course. So I guess everybody was sent back to their respective dimensions. So what do we have for Morbius coming up? Because again, we know there's a Spider-Man in there, based on the wall thing in the trailers that says murderer. There's a Spider-Man, obviously, in that universe, as there's a Spider-Man in many universes, which has been established now. And we have a Adrian Toomes, a Vulture, but is it another? Is it a variant? I guess, or is that Morbius in the MCU? Well, no. Again, that's you know, again the Spider-Man on the wall. The suit wise is the Maguire one. So I don't know. Again, so many freaking questions. So many freaking questions. So yeah, we'll just have to see what Sony is doing, and I just hope that they allow Marvel to help them out a lot more. So we will get more like No Way Home, like Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, rather than even Venom, the original, what they did by themselves, rather than Let There Be Carnage. I just hope that if it is just Sony by itself, that we get more of what we got, like the original Venom, and even like Spider-Man 1, 2. Then over time, then Let There Be Carnage. All right, so we'll see what's up with Morbius, what other Spider properties they have coming. Obviously, Amy Pascal has said with Kevin Feige that, or well, she said it without Kevin Feige, but they've been in interviews together that there are going to be more Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, obviously going forth. So that being said, I will leave it at that. As always, for those who have watched this ramble, thank you for watching. As always, feel free to share, subscribe. Hopefully, hit that like if you like my content. What little there is. And again, if you've already seen Spider-Man: No Way Home, which again I hope you have if you've watched this, leave me your thoughts. What did you think of the movie? Anything that you've wondered about, like main points that I didn't bring up that you'd like to talk about, or maybe something that you noticed that I may not have noticed? I'd appreciate it. And